Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I actually have a really exciting video to bring you guys. We are going to review an entire face of Kokie Cosmetics, which is a drugstore brand. My local Rite Aid recently installed an entire section of Kokie Cosmetics, so I decided to just go crazy and explore the line. It's been a long time since we've really done a deep dive into some good drugstore products. Hopefully we'll find some hits with this particular line. If that's something you're interested in watching, then you are in the right place. We are about to get into it.
I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf.
Alright guys, so Kokie Cosmetics. Now these guys are pretty new in the drugstore space. They came around at about 2015. The company itself is based right outside of Washington, D.C. in a little town called Beltsville, Maryland, and that's where Kokie's is headquartered. Now Kokie itself is Korean for elephant, and they think that the elephant is bold and strong and a great symbol of beauty, so they named the entire organization Kokie Cosmetics. Now, Kokie is exclusively a brand that is exclusive to Rite Aid. I've heard that they're also in some Walmarts, and then of course you can go to KokieCosmetics.com and order any of the products that we talk about today from their website. Now, as an organization, they are proudly cruelty-free all across the board. They say that they're going to provide high-end formulas at a very not intimidating price, i.e., we're going to have some great formulas at drugstore pricing. So that's like part of their mission statement. So I think the goal going into Kokie Cosmetics from an owner and developer perspective was to really try and get some great formulations, but to keep the price reasonable. And if they were successful at that, well, that's fantastic. My only hesitation is that they're brand new, and usually brands that have only been around, like for this specific company, they've only been around since 2015. So there's a lot of growing pains and learning processes that developers and owners go through when you own a cosmetics brand that, you know, really help give you experience and make better products as the brand moves forward. So to deal with a very young brand, you're going to kind of expect some duds to be in the line. So of course, I'm a little hesitant. However, I will say this, when it comes to the research and development team at Kokie, they're coming at this brand with over 20 years experience in the beauty industry. So they've got the experience in the people, even though the brand may not have that much experience out in the merchandising world and out here with consumers. The actual people at Kokie do have the experience, though, with a couple of decades underneath their belt. So there's the potential there for this to be a really great cosmetics brand. So let's dive into this cosmetics brand. Let's do a full face of what I could get my hands on, and let's see how it goes. Now, I have heard of Kokie Cosmetics before. The first thing that I found of Kokie Cosmetics was their mascara. Tati talked a lot about the mascara and how much she liked it, so I just went to the website and ordered the mascara because I had never seen Kokie anywhere around me. So I ordered the mascara and I absolutely loved it. I actually did a review of the Hourglass Mascara, and I wanted to put it up against a very affordable mascara just to see how it would perform in relation to an affordable mascara, and I happened to put it up against the Kokie mascara, and the Kokie mascara kind of showed the Hourglass mascara out just a little bit. Not good for Hourglass, but it was a great learning experience for all of us. Now, because that mascara was my first exposure to Kokie, I was actually really excited to see an entire kiosk in my local Rite Aid dedicated specifically to this brand. So the first thing that I grabbed was, of course, a foundation. Now, the foundation I grabbed is called the Kokie Kokie Skin Perfect HD foundation. Now I'll give you a close-up of the bottle here. Now this foundation retails for $13, and surprisingly enough for a drugstore foundation, you guys, there are 18 shades in this collection that range from light to dark, and it looks like a pretty good undertone selection. Overall, the shades look absolutely fantastic. They do say that this is supposed to be a lightweight foundation, that it is medium to full coverage. It does have a pump. It is quite a thick liquid foundation. They do say it's high performance, high definition. Again, it's going to provide medium to full coverage. That's supposed to give you a natural kind of semi-matte finish. The way that they described it reminds me a lot of the Makeup Forever HD. It's supposed to kind of have that same demi-matte finish that still looks kind of natural, but still be medium to full coverage. Unlike some other brands out there that I could name, this particular foundation formula is specific to Kokie. So it really is their own foundation formulation. They didn't pull it from anybody else or from any other brand or from any umbrella company that they happen to be owned by. This is their specific formulation, which was really good to see. Now, their foundation formula itself just contains a basic foundation formula. It's not something like a Sunday Riley foundation or Giorgio Armani foundation where they've put all of these fantastic luxury good-for-you ingredients into the foundation. It has those basic good-for-you ingredients in it, like glycerin, which is a great natural humectant, etc. It's just a basic, good, cruelty-free foundation formula. So let's see how this particular foundation applies. Now, I'll tell you one thing, guys. In application of this particular product, I actually was really surprised at how well it blended in. Not only did it blend in really, really well, but it is a good medium to full coverage foundation. I expected it to not be as medium to full coverage as it is, but it is. And it is true to description in that it is a very natural looking demi matte, which I love personally from a look perspective. Now, they do say that the actual formula for this particular foundation came from Italy. So this was a formula that they stumbled upon in Italy. That's where the formulation originated from. So I was expecting this to be a pretty decent formula foundation. They actually are kind of well known in Italy for their cosmetic formulations. That's why you hear about a lot of cosmetics brands sourcing ingredients and formulas from Italy, because they're just artisans when it comes to cosmetics. So I liked seeing that in the PR for this particular foundation, but at the end of the day, it really did what it said it was going to do. It gave you medium to full coverage. It does look like a semi-matte natural finish, and it sits really nicely on the skin. So we'll go through the wear test later on in the video, but first impressions on this particular foundation are I really, really like it, especially for $13. It puts it square in the drugstore price range, and first impressions are that it looks great. All right, so next is a color corrector, and that's right, they even have a line of color correctors. Now, the line of color correctors and concealers that Kokie has is called their Be Bright line, and of course, the color corrector that I got is a peach tone, and it's actually called their Illuminating Concealer. So I'll give you guys a close-up of it here. Now, they claim that this color corrector is going to illuminate dark circles and even out any kind of unnatural hyperpigmentation that you may have underneath the eyes. They say that it is going to be very, very creamy, medium to full coverage, long lasting, easy to blend, and very, very pigmented. So they do warn that a little tiny bit goes a really long way. And again, from a ingredients perspective, they are sticking with that cruelty-free formula. So this actually was something that surprised me. I'm kind of picky when it comes to underneath my eyes, and Kokie Cosmetics surprised me when it came to their under eye products. I'm going to show you guys application of this color corrector here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So upon first application, I initially thought the way that the actual formula felt was that it was going to be a little too light and that I wasn't really going to see any kind of a big difference. And to be honest with you, once I blended it out underneath my eyes, I definitely saw a diminishing of the dark circles, and I definitely saw a brightening of the under eye eye area, but I didn't think it was as drastic as it proved itself to be later on. Once I actually put my concealer on over top of the corrector, then I was like, wow, I kind of got the full picture of actually the correction that was going on underneath my eyes. So my first impression on this corrector, you guys, is that it is one of the best color correctors that I have ever encountered in the drugstore space. It retails for $8. You get 6 mils of product. You get a doe foot applicator. It is a very creamy formula that is incredibly pigmented, so you don't need a whole lot, and it does its job, and it looks beautiful with a concealer on top of it. So let's move on to the next product, which is, of course, the Be Bright Concealer by Kokie Cosmetics. Now, the Be Bright Concealer looks just like the corrector from a component perspective. I'll show you guys this component up close, but as you can see, they're basically identical. I got the color medium beige. There is 9 different colors in the concealer lineup. Obviously, I feel like that could be a little bit better, but with concealers, they tend to flex a little bit more, and they can be just a little bit more forgiving. Of course, the concealer claims to be medium to full coverage, very long lasting, easy to blend, and they say the same thing with this concealer, that it's incredibly pigmented, so less is more. And I'll show you the concealer application here. Now again, concealer is something that I am picky about, you guys, and very rarely will I find a drugstore concealer since the days of Maybelline Age Rewind that I'm actually happy with and that I would consider using. This concealer surprised me. When I put this concealer on over the corrector, I really, really like the look that it gives to the eyes. I think it's beautiful. I think it gives your under eye area a very bright, lifted under eye area look, and I was genuinely impressed. And again, I keep going back to the $8 price point. This is an $8 product that outperforms a lot of the much more expensive concealers that I have invested in, and it looks beautiful. But it could look beautiful for the first 3 minutes, so it is going to depend on how it wears throughout the course of the day. But first impressions on the corrector and the concealer are that they're 100% Erica approved on first impression. So we'll have to wait until we do the wear test later on to see how everything wears. But so far, guys, foundation, corrector, concealer, they all look really, really good. All right, guys, so we have our foundation on, we have our concealer on, we have our color corrector on. Next, we need to set the face, and in order to do that, we're going to need some powder. So the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is the Translucent Setting Powder by Kokie Cosmetics, and to be honest with you guys, this was another surprise to me. I'll give you a close-up of the container here just so you can see what the powder looks like. So this translucent setting powder retails for $10. It is a setting powder that is going to give you about 5 grams of product is about what you're going to get in here, which is good for $10. It's not bad. You're going to get a lightweight, very sheer finishing powder here. It's a natural matte finish that's supposed to give you a very radiant, smooth kind of glow, but it's also going to control oil throughout the day. They also claim that this is going to fit nearly all skin tones, even though it's translucent, that it's not going to oxidize or get darker on your face. So a lot of times when you go in with a setting powder, especially underneath the eyes, you go, whoa, that just turned everything darker. This claims that it's not going to do that. Now, this formula has talc in it, you guys. So for them to claim that it's not going to get cakey means, number one, this powder is going to have to be incredibly ultra finely milled. And I get it, a lot of drugstore brands out there, in order to keep prices down, will use talc in their setting powders, and that's fine. For that matter, most high-end or mid to high-end brands use talc in their setting powder these days. Talc-free setting powders usually are a luxury setting powder, and we usually pay the price for a talc-free setting powder. However, for a talc setting powder to not be cakey on the face, it has to be incredibly finely milled. So let's see how this powder stacks up. I'll show you guys the application here. Now, I will say, guys, typically with a talc heavy finishing powder or setting powder, I can tell pretty immediately when I put it on the face if this is going to cake up, because it feels very thick and it does tend to oxidize. And what that means is it doesn't really oxidize, it actually turns darker when you set your concealer with it, it actually kind of melts together and creates that goopy consistency that talc is famous for, and it ends up looking like it's turning your under eyes darker or your face darker wherever you choose to set your face with the product. But this product doesn't do that. It is incredibly finely milled, and not only is it incredibly finely milled, but it also has brightening properties in it, which is where you're going to get that kind of soft, matte, radiant kind of glow from, and it genuinely helps to brighten the under eye area. It really has this fantastic smoothing property to it that really makes the under eye area look very, very smoothing. Now, I will say this, I also used it through my T-zone to see how it would perform when it came to holding and controlling oil throughout the course of the day, and then I also dusted a little bit on my perimeter. But I specifically wanted to bake under the eyes with this, even though I'm not a big baker, because I do have under eyes that dry out, and if something's going to get cakey on me, my under eye area is where it's going to do that. And I honestly went in with this powder thinking, we're going to bake underneath the eyes. This is a talc powder that's very heavy. It's not going to be finely milled because it's from the drugstore. It's not going to be a good formula because it's from the drugstore. And this is going to be a recipe for disaster. In this situation, you guys, I was really proven wrong when it comes to this specific powder. From a first impression perspective, I was most impressed with this powder than anything else in this line. This powder was shocking. But I'm not going to give away my final thoughts until the end, so let's move on to the next product. All right, so we've done foundation, we have color corrected, we've concealed, now we have set our face. What's next? We got a contour, and yes, they have a product for that. And the product they have is called the Powder Contour Palette, and that is what I chose to grab in order to get our face a little contoured. So this bad boy costs a whopping $15. Not gonna break the bank. So for $15, you actually get this magnetic enclosure, and you get these big full pans in here of contour and powder, and you also get a mirror. I'll give you guys a closer look of the component here. And it's a nice sturdy component for 15 bucks, you guys. And you're gonna get in here 3 highlight colors and 3 contour colors. This is gonna be one of those palettes that's got enough tone in here to go across the spectrum. So no matter what your tone is, you'll be able to find some colors in here, and you'll be able to mix and match, which always is nice, and I appreciate that. I like the palette. I think the packaging itself looks really, really good. Now, they're claiming that in here you're going to get 6 very buildable, very silky, luxurious feeling powders that are going to be what they call a soft powder formula, which is when you touch it and you go, ooh, that feels like butter. That's what a soft powder formula is, and they're claiming that that's what these particular pans are, is a soft powder formula. But they also claim that it's going to last all day long, that it's going to be smoothing on the skin, and that it's going to be easy to blend. So when it comes to highlight and contour, I think those are the big priorities that all of us are looking for. But more importantly, you guys know how picky I am when it comes to my contour tones. I like tones that are nice and cool and not very orangey and warm, because of course when you're contouring, you're trying to create the appearance of shadow. You're not bronzing, you're contouring. So are these tones going to be good? Let's see. So here's the application of this contour palette here. And I will say this, you guys, they are very soft powders. They're incredibly soft and buttery, as everybody would say. And they swatch beautifully. But on the face, they blend really, really well. I love the way they blend. I think that it is like a semi-matte finish. It's very buildable. It's incredibly easy to blend. And I think that between the contour shades that are in here, you can get a beautiful contour, especially a beautiful nose contour. I have found that these 2 colors right here, if you just kind of bounce back and forth between the 2 of them, you can get a really good nose contour. And the highlighting colors do really good, like down the bridge of the nose or anywhere that you want to brighten on the skin. from a first impression perspective, this has everything in it to make for a good contour palette. It looks good, it applies good, it looks like it's a solid formula. Again, we're sticking with that cruelty-free formula as well. The packaging itself looks great. The price point is 15 bucks. What more can you want out of a contour palette? So far, so good. And honestly, you guys, through this whole review so far, from a first impression perspective, everything has been a hit. So let's move on to the next product. So next for me is going to be blush, and I picked out this little blush palette, and it's really super cute. Now these blush palettes only retail for $9, you guys, and these blush palettes come in 4 different colorways. So this is just one of 4 trios that you can pick out. So there's basically a shade for everybody. And the one thing that I really like about these is that you have 2 that are basically matte, and then you have one that has just a slight glow to it, but it's not a sparkly shimmer, which is fantastic. I love blush formulas like that because they tend to smooth out the skin and they don't show texture on the face. So if you have a little bit of acne or if you have fine lines and wrinkles, there's not going to be a whole bunch of shimmer in here that accentuates all of that, and there's not going to be a lot of shimmer in here that pulls a lot of attention to a lot of like your wrinkles and crinkles that we have on the cheeks. If anything, if it's a good formula, it should actually smooth out the skin as well as being pigmented. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at the component itself so you guys can see these colors up close. Now, the one thing that I will say about this little palette, you guys, for $9, these are really pigmented. They are that same buttery, smooth formula that we saw in the contour palette. It's just so soft and really surprising with the color payoff. Typically, that's one of my biggest gripes in the drugstore space, is that a lot of these blushes, you kind of have to build and build and build before you actually see the pigment, and then typically it doesn't last very long. I haven't found very many drugstore blushes that can actually last throughout the course of the day. Not only does this claim to be incredibly pigmented, but it also claims to be a soft matte finish, and it also claims to be long wearing. So we have high pigment, long wearing, soft matte finish, and it's supposed to give you a nice smoothing effect on the face. And if it does all of those things, then we have yet another winner. So here is the application here. And I will say this, you guys, it does give you a very pigmented, blendable look. It looks like a really beautiful glow. It does give you those kind of perfectly pinched cheek look where you have just this natural flush on the cheek, and I love that in a blush. This is definitely my style of blush, where you can just do a light layer and get a nice pretty flush, or you can put it on a little heavier for the nights that you want to go out. I love the fact that it's in a trio, because in a trio you can use one shade, or you know, you can have 3 different blushes in here, or you can bounce back and forth and kind of mix 2 together and get a tone that is suitable for you. And the fact that they have these in 4 different colorways, I think is great, and it's only $9. So yet again, we have another first impression. This looks really good on the face. It smooths out your cheeks. It doesn't emphasize any fine lines and wrinkles, but will it last throughout the course of the day? That's the question. So let's get on to the next product. So next, we're moving on to the eyes. And the eyes, from an eyeshadow perspective and the drugstore, you guys know my struggle there. It is a struggle for me when it comes to drugstore eyeshadows. And more importantly, when I do find a drugstore eyeshadow palette that I like, typically it's like $20 or more. And I'm like, come on guys, you're the drugstore. Can we get it together? However, there are exceptions. Sometimes I'll find a really good eyeshadow. Profusion lately was one that really surprised me. And Makeup Revolution has been able to keep their palettes fairly reasonable and still pull off really good color payout. But as far as being able to like walk into Rite Aid and find a good eyeshadow palette, I just haven't been able to get to that level yet. So I'm hoping that this is where we get to that level. And I picked up the Artist palette in Peachy Queen. Now, they have 4 different artist palettes, and Peachy Queen just happened to be the one that I gravitated towards because, you guessed it, it had more mattes in it than the other eyeshadow palettes. But let me give you guys a close-up of the component here. Now, of course, this one was 15 bucks, so at least we're underneath the $20 price range. It does come with a mirror, and honestly, at first impression, I really, really like the color layout here. You have warm, rich mauve and pink hues. They range from light to deep. It's mainly mattes, but it does include 3 pretty shimmers if you want to add some additional dimension in there. They all swatch really, really pretty. I do think when you first touch them and when you first swatch them, you get beautiful color payout for a drugstore formula. But of course, is it going to be blendable? Is it going to be long lasting? Is it going to be a high pigmented, extreme blendability, very long wearing, perfect type of eyeshadow palette that we want when it comes to drugstore? You know, those are all the questions. So I went in and I designed a look with this particular palette, and I'll show you guys the application process here. And obviously, my first impression on this was a little shocking. So they are blendable, they are buildable, and if you work in light layers, you can actually build it up to make a beautiful look on the eye. I was actually surprised at how well these blended. I was able to create a very pretty look using this palette, and for $15, that's really all you can ask out of an eyeshadow palette from the drugstore, is that you get something that is pigmented, you get something that's going to show up on the eye and blend out well without having to put a whole lot of work into it, and that you're going to get something that lasts throughout the course of the day. So at the end of the day, when you go to take your makeup off, it still looks like you have eyeshadow on. And I've had a big problem with some drugstore formulas actually sticking to my eye and still being there at the end of an 8-hour day, let alone being pigmented at the end of an 8-hour day. Just being there and not fading away would be a great feat in the drugstore space. And first impressions on this one, yet again, are that it looks really good. I was shocked at the eyeshadow. I thought this was probably where we were going to have a fail, but first impression is that it's really not that bad, you guys. And they managed to keep it below $20, and they included a mirror and the rose gold etching in the palette and the nice pretty case and the whole 9 yards, and they didn't charge you $20 for it. So they kept it at $15, and they get my respect for that. But seriously, overall, they made good color choices with the palette. You have transition colors in there. You have darker colors in there for your outer V. You also have a couple of shimmers in there thrown in for people that want to be brave and try and do some shimmer on the lid or add a little bit of dimension to your look. So it's all in the palette. You can create a world of different looks. You have 15 shades in this particular palette, and even though they're smaller pans, I mean, at the end of the day, I would rather have smaller pans at a $15 price point. And I think they were really smart with this particular palette, and it functions well. So from a first impression perspective, this one did really good too. Next, we're going to kind of do a 2-in-1, you guys. We have their Velvet Glide eyeliner, which comes in 12 different colors, and the colors are beautiful. They range anywhere from a light slate gray to a bright teal. I happen to get the deepest black, of course, and then they have their volume and length mascara. Now, this is a $7 mascara, and if you guys have been here for any length of time on this channel, you already know that I'm a huge, huge fan of this mascara. It doesn't flake. It makes your lashes look phenomenal. For $7, you cannot beat it. It doesn't bleed. It holds the curl. It does everything it's supposed to do. It performs better than a lot of high-end mascaras out there. This is already an Erica-approved product. Now, this is a good eyeliner. It's a Velvet Glide type eyeliner, so you don't get that tugging and pulling that happens on the eye. The trick is whether or not this is going to last all day, and you're not going to get that smudging. So we'll have to wait until after the wear test to see how this performs. But $7, $6, both of these performed fine on first impression. I already know this one's Erica approved. We're gonna have to wait on this one to see, but I figured we'd blow through these two really quickly so that we can move on to the lips. Now, I was interested to try these two lip products. I did get their lip liner, which they claim is supposed to be feather-proof, waterproof, long-lasting, smooth formula, semi-matte formula, and, you know, all the lip liner claims. They claim this lip liner is going to be phenomenal. And then I also got their lip powder formula. And this lip powder formula really intrigued me because it's supposed to go on like a liquid lip that they claim has like a semi-matte finish. I'll give you a close-up of it here. They say that this is going to be a silky application that has a powdery dry down. So it should give you kind of a satin finish that has this powdery type feel to it. They say it's water resistant, incredibly pigmented, and that it should provide weightless color that's not going to dry out your lips. They do really push comfortable wear when it comes to this particular formula, but typically comfortable wear, long wearing, dry powder-like finish does not really equal a comfortable lipstick in my experience. So I figured we would give these two things a test. So here's the application of both of these here. Now I will say the lip liner actually went on quite well. It is very smooth. It's not like a dried out lip liner where you deal with that a lot of times where you'll put a lip liner on and it's really dry and you feel like you're kind of scraping it across your lip. This is very soft and it glides around your lips beautifully. Now the lip powder itself, from an application standpoint, it actually went on really, really well. It feels very interesting. It does have that kind of powdery dry down to it, but it is very pigmented, and it looks good. I thought on a first impression perspective that it emphasized some texture that I have on my lips. So all of us have these little fine lines on our lips, and for me, I don't feel like this formula did that any favors on my lips particularly, but I did like the lip liner. So the lip liner was a win for me, and this is $7 and the lip liner is $6. So both of these are still kind of in that inexpensive category. So now that we have the entire face on, let's take a look at the wear test and how the wear did throughout the day. Hi guys, so I am actually filming some other stuff and I wanted to sit down and just take a look at what's going on. You guys, I am surprised by this. The makeup, the foundation looks good. The eyeshadow looks good. The eyeliner and the mascara look good. Nothing is smudging. The lipstick is gone. The lipstick didn't last very long. Neither did the lip liner. Both of those are gone, but I think I'm a little more impressed by the concealer and the corrector and the powder. Like, wow, you guys. I'm really happy. We're at 6 hours already and no breakdown so far, and the concealer is still going strong. So, a little shocking. I never have results like this when it comes to drugstore products. So far, so good. We are past the 6 hour mark. Hey, you guys, I forgot that we need to probably do a check-in. We're like at the 10 hour mark. I will say the lipstick is pretty much gone and the eyeliner is smudging quite a bit. So the eyeliner and the lipstick and the lip liner, not really fans of. First of all, we're at the shop, by the way. You guys will be able to see this location. So this is the shop, guys. Can you see the studio? We're almost there, almost there. This will be a Halloween launch at this location, so we're very excited. Back to this check-in. Yeah, it looks like the eyeliner is running, you guys, and lipstick is gone. But you know what? The foundation still looks really, really good. Not only does the foundation look good, but the concealer looks really good as well. So, as you guys know, I have a lot of texture underneath my eyes, but like when you straighten it out, you can see that the product is not sinking into those fine lines, which is crazy. And I really like that my under eyes don't feel really dried out. They still feel nice and hydrated and soft, and I still feel like that concealer is giving me a nice like brightening effect to the face. I don't know. I love the way that concealer just feels, you guys. So concealer's doing good, foundation's doing good. Blush still looks really good. Contour is still intact. Everything looks really good except for the eyeliner and lipstick. I think those two things checked out. But at the 10-hour mark for my nose contour to still look good, concealer still looking good for drugstore stuff, you guys, it's really not that bad. It's not that bad at all. We have a little area here as well. I've got all my stuff spread out right now, so never mind that. We've got our little, our reception stand there. We're inside of a little mall, but we're hoping to have this one up and rock and rolling by Halloween, so fingers crossed, we'll get there. We will. We're working hard, so. All right, well, check-in done. I will talk to you guys at my final thoughts. So were you guys as shocked as I was? I have to say, you guys, there are a couple of winners out of this product line. So the foundation, Erica approved. The concealer and the color corrector, I haven't stopped using since the day that I grabbed them. I didn't want to tell you guys in the beginning, but I actually have it on tonight. I really, really like this combination, you guys. I think it really does a great job brightening my under eyes. And not only these, but this. I know, I preach talc-free powders, but I have fallen in love with this combo, you guys. It is one of the best combos that I have used underneath my eyes in a really, really long time. These three products are like super Erica approved. If you haven't checked them out, definitely check them out. If you're looking for something that's comparable to a lot of these high-end products that I talk about, especially underneath the eyes, this is something you guys need to try. I have really enjoyed these three products. The eyeshadow palette, you know, it did a good job. It lasted all day. It did its job. It's not the best out there, but you can't really compare it to a lot of these other palettes that I review, like Natasha Denona palettes, and even Bad Habit, I would say, is a superior formula than this particular one. But if you're in a pinch and you only have 15 bucks, I would say you could get this and be okay. You'll be able to pull off a look that'll last all day long. It's just not my favorite formula. I'm not going to reach for this every day, but I will say, if you put it in comparison with the other palettes that are in the drugstore space, I would probably grab this one before I would grab anything else. Mascara, we already know is Erica approved. I absolutely love this stuff. This one unfortunately bled a little bit and did give me some smudge, so as long wearing and waterproof as it claims to be, it's not, and it doesn't stand up to wear, so this one, not Erica approved. Absolutely love this contour palette. The tones in it are flawless for the price. You can't beat it. If you want a cheap contour palette that's going to do the job, last all day, not emphasize texture, look beautiful on the skin, this is a great option. And so is the blush. Both of these are Erica approved. They lasted. They look beautiful. I love both of these. I've actually reached for this blush quite a bit the last couple of days. So these both Erica approved. Neither one of these are Erica approved. I don't really like the lip liner enough to say that it's any better or any worse than any other drugstore lip liner. I mean, the formula is okay. It's smooth. It does its job, but it doesn't last very long. It wears off fairly quickly. And this was gone like immediately. I think this lasted maybe 30 minutes. But this was pretty much like the first thing to go was this lip powder. And not only that, but when it dried down, it wasn't very comfortable at all. So this one, not Erica approved. Overall, you guys, I think this entire experience for me was worth it just to find these three products right here. But overall, this was a lot of fun exploring this brand. I love playing with new stuff, and I love finding new, inexpensive stuff that's affordable for all of us. So let me know if you guys have ever checked out Kokie Cosmetics, or if you intend on checking out Kokie Cosmetics. Let me know down in the comments below. I would love to get a conversation going with you guys. Alright guys, so that is it. Don't forget, we have the contest going between now and the end of this month for the Jaclyn Hill Morphe Master Eye Collection brush set. It is a fantastic giveaway that we have going on. All you have to do is be a subscriber, go back to the Natasha Denona review, and make sure that you like that video and leave a comment and let me know how to get in touch with you in the event that you are the winner. And that's all you have to do in order to enter that contest. We are going to do a live stream announcement at the end of this month announcing who the winner is. And if you you want an extra entry, come visit me on Instagram at Erica Approved. All right, guys, I think that's it. As always, I hope all of you guys are very happy and very healthy, and I will see you guys in the next video.